Hello there and welcome to One Patriots Place, brought to you by the E2G Sports Network. Thank you for listening. If you're listening on podcast, please do not forget to rate, review and subscribe. Here you have Thomas Murphy, Mr. Steve Balistreri and Mr. Michael Diabate here for you to talk Patriots. So let's get it started, shall we, gentlemen?
Don't forget, Butt Munch. Butt Munch is here. Welcome, folks, to another exciting episode of One Patriots Place. I am Thomas Murphy. He is Steve Balistreri, and of course, coming in at the last minute as a pinch hitter is the one and only Mike Diabate. Welcome to the show, everyone. And hey, guys, what's happening?
That's a good question.
Yeah, that's a great question. I want to get this started with the one subject that I'm really sick and tired of, and that's the wide receiver room. How upset are you guys that we didn't make a big giant signing this week?
Mike, you want to
Steve?
go first? Oh, okay, I'll go first. Well,
Yeah, age before beauty.
well,
Have you seen the other side of the screen?
No.
In regards to DeAndre Hopkins, I mean, I thought it would be fun to have him on the team because, you know, he would obviously elevate everybody else. But at the same time, you know, I still put the odds at signing him as very low. I never had it above 30%. Most of the time I was hovering around 20% that I thought it would happen. I never bought into that. So I can't say I'm really disappointed because I didn't think it was going to happen.
Yep. Michael?
Yeah, I think in a lot of ways I bought into the hype a little bit. I mean, I hovered around 60% for a long while, and you guys know that from listening to Locked On Patriots and guesting with me on that show. I believe that the Patriots really had made a strong impression on DeAndre. But look, the bottom line is that the Patriots are going to put a price tag on a player, and they're not going to deviate from it. They didn't do it with Tom Brady. They're not going to do
Right.
it with DeAndre Hopkins. And there is a quiet confidence in that locker room, in that coach's room, and even in the front office that the New England Patriots offense is going to be vastly improved than what it was last year. So I think you're looking at a team that wanted DeAndre Hopkins, would love to have had him in, but they weren't desperate to sign him because they love what they have in the room right now in Devontae Parker, in Kendrick Bourne, in Tyquan Thornton, in Juju Smith-Schuster, and now you've got the two-headed monster at the tight end position with Hunter Henry and Mike Gesicki. Patriots, I think, are pretty well set with what they have. If they can add another piece, someone, you know, who knows, maybe like a Leonard Fournette or a Darrell Henderson, who both worked out for the team yesterday, I think they'll be open to it. But bottom line, I think it was a situation where they looked at DeAndre as a nice to have, but not a necessity. That's why Tennessee went to that next level, because they knew they had to have him.
Exactly. They knew they had to have him. I was
And-
never
and-
more. Go ahead,
Oh,
Steve.
I'm sorry for interrupting. Can I add one more thing to that?
No.
Mhm.
Okay.
Go ahead.
I'm so used to giving them permission. This is
Yeah, I want to go to Shawshank, you know. But anyway, that's another story. No, I don't buy into this narrative that, you know, the fact that they bought in, or not bought in, but they, you know, were pursuing DeAndre Hopkins and now possibly Denzel Mims as a sign that they're not happy with how the room is.
Right.
I think, you know, part of being a GM or front office personnel, you always try to look to improve your football team.
Yep.
So I don't take that as a condemnation of the guys that they have. I know that's a popular narrative that's going around right now, but I don't buy it. I mean, yeah, if there's a player out there that can help your team, of course you look at him. You know, it's just the way you do business. And, you know, the fact that they searched him out, I mean, what team wouldn't he make better
Right.
if he was on it? You know, so
Leave it to Steve to answer my follow-up question that I have written down right here before I even ask it. we've done this before, people. So
Yeah.
it's the same wavelength type of thing.
See, you should have held firm on no.
I know. When do I'm so flexible though. When do I ever hold firm on anything? I mean,
Yeah, that's true.
I'm just a flip flopper. That's why I would make a great president of the United States. Vote Murph 2024. Um, is Bill going to use the surplus of cap space to resign current players? Lawrence Guy comes to mind. That's a great question, Joel. I'll leave it up to the panel right here. We'll start with Michael this time.
Yeah, I think this is actually a very good question, Joel. I had the good fortune of speaking with our good friend, the Pats Cap, yesterday. That episode dropping on Locked On Patriots a little bit later today. And essentially, what the Patriots are doing right now is gaining opportunity to use this cap space for operating costs. Now, does that mean that they're not going to add a piece here and there? Yeah, they probably will. My best guess is they might add one of the running backs that they worked out yesterday. My choice of the two would be Fournette because of the experience and the ability to receive out of the backfield. But don't sleep on Henderson. He was also very effective with the Los Angeles Rams, lost his footing, never really got on track with the Jaguars when he signed. He was released very quickly, but this is a player that can come in and give you solid second option behind Ramondre Stevenson. As for Lawrence Guy, it's been very eerie throughout Patriots lore, throughout Patriots media. We're not hearing an awful lot about what his intentions are in reporting this week, whether or not we're going to see him on the field, if the holdout is going to continue. If it continues into training camp, doesn't sit well with the Patriots coaches and Bill Belichick and the Patriots brass. So that could be something to watch. But ultimately, some of what that 16.9 million, it's actually about 16.93 million right now in available cap space that the Patriots have, will be put to use for potential contract extensions. Don't forget, you've still got Christian Gonzalez and you've got Keon White that have to be signed.
Right.
These are going to be, I think, utilitarian type transactions that you're going to see from the Patriots. I wouldn't look for any big splash right now, though.
Steve, you got an opinion?
I always have an opinion. Doesn't
Yeah.
mean it's a good one, but I have an opinion. I think the priority for the Patriots should be re-signing your younger guys. Lawrence
Send
Guy's
that
under
message.
contract. You know, I believe Guy is under contract for the next 2 years.
Yeah.
Now, can they sweeten that deal a little bit to make him happier? Sure. But I think if Bill's going to re-sign anyone during training camp, I would go for Kyle Duggar first and Josh Uche. Those would be the first two guys that would come to mind. Guy would be third because he's already under contract.
Right. Now, Mike and I have talked at length about this, and I really believe that their agents are not going to be too cooperative at this stage in time. We've seen before that Bill has let upper echelon players go out and test the market, test the free agent market, and then come back and say, let's see what we can do after you guys go out and find anything. Now, you may like this strategy that Bill's gone and done throughout the years. He hasn't lost anybody that he truly wanted to keep, though. Do you think, Steve? Can you recall?
Yeah, well, I can think of one, Tom
Well,
Brady.
oh yeah, but I mean, come on.
No, I mean, other than that,
We could do a whole hour on how you, me, and Jeff Howe were right about that whole contract situation, and everybody else was wrong.
but no, I mean, generally speaking, maybe Richard Seymour,
Okay.
when they got rid of him, because he still had a lot more left in the tank than they believed.
Yep.
So,
All
but
right.
other than that, no, I mean, he's been
It's
pretty
been a good
close.
strategy.
Yeah.
It's really been a good strategy. Is there, before we get into our roster projections, because this is a roster projection show, folks, right there on the cusp of camp. the one glaring need that everybody seems to still think is out there, or at least everybody in this room, is the offensive line. Is there any help on the free agent market right now, or is Bill waiting to see what happens with cut downs if he's going to make a move at all? Michael?
I think he's going to wait this one out. I really do. I think the Patriots really want to kick the tires and see what they have, especially at the opposite tackle position, and give guys like Riley Reif, Connor McDermott, Calvin Anderson an opportunity to win those jobs. Now, of the three that I just mentioned, Connor McDermott was actually the most impressive that we've
Right.
seen so far in minicamp and OTAs, probably because of his familiarity with the system. So I think there's a lot of people that will tell you that. But Anderson and Rafe are being paid like they're going to be members of this team. I can't see Belichick and the Patriots cutting any one of these guys, really, to be honest with you. That's why I think when we see in a minute, offensive line is a position they're going to go a little bit heavier on. In terms of what's out there on the free agent market right now, nothing really pops to mind of a player that I think the Patriots would bring in here and sign prior to training camp or early on. I think they're going to look to see if players get cut loose. Sometimes you see players get cut loose right around the time of, the roster cut downs, and you'll definitely take a look and see what's there. But at the end of the day, if there is an upgrade to be made, I think the Patriots make it prior to the season, not prior to roster cut downs. So no, I don't see the Patriots bringing in any free agent off the street. I think they're going to ride this one out.
Steve, is Taylor Lewan just poison right now with his injury history? Is that why he hasn't
Been signed by anybody?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's it. Plus his age, he's getting up there. I mean, when he's healthy, he was a excellent tackle, but I think it's going to be difficult for him to command the kind of money he was used to. But I agree with Mike on that. I think they want to see what their guys look like when the pads come on, because that's really
There you go.
The true test when you're talking offensive and defensive lines. Excuse me. So I think they're going to see what they have. They're going to give the two veterans that were struggling, Riley Reif and Trent Brown, a chance to see, can they turn it back on, now that the pads are coming on? And we'll see. If those guys rebound, then they'll definitely wait until roster cut down time to make a decision. But I don't see them making a move right away unless something drops in their lap.
Right.
Mhm.
And
Good
it
point.
gets more and more difficult, these days, because it's just one big cut now. We all
Right.
wait for that one big cut day instead
Right.
of, marginally moving things, which I think is terrible. I think it's, it's a disservice to the players. And you used to be able to be that, you would let a guy go early and then he could go out and find a job, and then now it's just a free for all. It's like, flooding the market, and nobody ends up making the money
Mhm.
because of it. And it's just, more shadiness from the owners. All right, man, let's jump into it before we look up and find out that we're into overtime here. Guys, let's start with the most important man in the room. That's the center. No, I'm kidding. And at quarterback this year. Now, in my roster projections that you can read over at E2Gsports.com, guys, feel free to plug where yours are. I've got Bill only keeping two, even though the new rules are going to allow for that extra quarterback to be dressed and not on the roster. I think Bill's going to on the game day roster. I think Bill's going to use that as the backup. Just simply in that vein. So in mine, of course, I've got Mac Jones and Bailey Zappi. Um, I don't see Malik Cunningham or Trace McSorley sticking on this roster to begin with, no matter how many snaps Cunningham takes at wide receiver. Steve, what do you think of this? And who do you have them keeping around?
Totally agree with yours right there. I have them keeping 2. And you could read mine at patsfans.com.
Yeah, there you go. Michael, are you of the 2 or the 3 quarterback ilk?
Well, I've done 2 now already for SI, believe it or not. The
Just
first one
show
that I
up.
did had
Just show
I
up.
did have 3 quarterbacks,
2.
and I had them carrying 3 for that specific reason. Because in order to take advantage of the emergency quarterback rule, that quarterback has to be on the 53-man roster. So ultimately, what you need to have someone versatile enough to be able to take those snaps and take those reps. So Malik Cunningham was someone that I thought might have a dual threat appeal because of his abilities as a receiver. The Patriots can roster him as such, but they can also dress him as an emergency quarterback and give that opportunity. Now, that's not to say that Bill Belichick won't roll the dice and take his chances. There's a lot of needs on this team. The most recent projection that I did had them taking only 2 in Mac Jones and Bailey Zappi. So what I'm gathering from this gentleman is that there's no love for Trace McSorley here. What's going on? No, I've got him as a solid practice squad addition to this team. Great scout team acumen. Reminds me
Yep.
of a younger version of Brian Hoyer. In that
There you
regard.
go. Can now I'm under the impression the way that I read the rule is it doesn't have to be a third quarterback, that it can be a second quarterback that is dressed as the emergency quarterback. Am I wrong in that assessment?
No, you are not wrong
All
in
right.
that assessment. But the player that they designate does have to be on the 53 man at the time of the designation. Now, they can start Malik off in the practice squad. He doesn't have to be making the team right off the bat, but the Patriots would have to elevate him.
Right.
And they would have to sign him to the 53 man roster. It wouldn't be a game day elevation. He would have to be on the roster in order to be designated. So at some point, the Patriots would have to either shed a roster spot and put Malik in there as a 53-man roster.
But
That's
that
how
second
the rule would work.
quarterback is eligible to be dressed and not be on the game day, and Bill could dress somebody else and have them active.
Yes, that is correct.
Right.
Yep.
And
Yep.
and that's my mad scientist thinking. That's exactly what I'd be doing because we need somebody else to run down there and cover punts.
They've
Uh,
got a few guys that can do it.
yeah, just a couple. The next big question on everybody's mind is the running back room. We talked a little bit earlier about guys coming in for workouts, this, that, and the other thing. I have become more and more entrenched in the fact that I want to dance with the guys that are on this roster already. I've got Kevin Harris, Ty Montgomery, Ramondre Stevenson, of course, and Pierre Strong, all making this roster, and them not adding anybody. Poor J.J. Taylor will be once again designated to the practice squad. Ricochet Rabbit, I love the guy, but he just can't stick. He just can't stick. Steve, do you think that the guys that we see now on the depth chart are the guys that we're going to roll with? Are you in any way, shape, or form different than what I'm thinking?
Well, right now, obviously, I think the 4 that you picked are the same 4 that I have. Excuse me. And now, if they were to sign a guy like Leonard Fournette, then obviously somebody's going to be the odd man out. And I would think that would be Montgomery. So we'll have to see how that all plays out. But right now, spot on.
There you go, Michael.
Yeah, I think, and I can see the comments now popping up on the screen, and that is absolutely right. Ty Montgomery recently said that he was reverting back to a wide receiver first role. And if that's indeed the case, it would clearly explain why the Patriots are working out running backs, especially
Okay.
guys like Darrell Henderson and a Leonard Fournette. In this regard, that's why I like Fournette's game, because even if you are going to keep Ty Montgomery as a running back, just for roster purposes, just for aesthetic purposes, he is not going to challenge Pierre Strong, in my opinion. I don't think he's going to stunt his growth, because Pierre Strong is going to be a guy that can come in and give you those early down looks. He can spring for multiple yards, even multiple yards after the catch on a third down situation. He's a different type of back, whereas Fournette has been more of a power back, especially now at this stage in his career. If they do keep Montgomery at the running back position, I'm a little worried at this point about Kevin Harris's growth, because that's a little bit more where I think he comes in. But ultimately, Murph, I ride with you. If they don't sign either one of these guys, I like what they have in the room, but keep a sharp eye on Montgomery's snaps in training camp, because that's going to tell you a lot. If he's aligning with the receivers, then yeah, they're definitely going to bring someone in. I don't think they're going to put all of that pressure on Strong and Harris. You need someone, a veteran presence, to come in and help spell Ramondre every now and then.
Are our behind the scenes people just like right on top of anything? You don't get this kind of input from you know, terrestrial radio, shall we say? No, that's a great. I had not heard that. I woke up early this morning and I haven't had my coffee, and as well. I'm just starting with it. I'm trying to give up the caffeine, guys. I'm trying to give up the coffee, so I'm only getting it from outside the house these days. And I'm sorry that you
I
have to
have
put up
mine.
with that. You got
Mhm.
yours. You got yours. No, I can totally see that happening. And what does this do? What does this do? Well, I guess we'll move down the line to the wide receiver room. And what do you guys think is happening there right now? I mean, I had five, you know,
Mhm.
Keishon Butte, just to keep it in alphabetical order. Kendrick Bourne, Devonta Parker, of course, Juju Smith-Schuster, and Tyquan Thornton. What does that do to this group? I had five on. If he's moving, is somebody going?
Yeah, I mean, if Montgomery is there, he's been very impressive thus far. And I know the Patriots brass is very high on him, and that's why it's always important to watch the snaps, watch the usage in training camp. That to me is the most valuable part. It's not the aesthetic pleasing catches and passes and things that really pop out and wow the audience and of course wow, the media members they're covering. It's how these guys are being used, where they're being partitioned, and how the Patriots intend to use them throughout the year. That to me is going to be interesting, because if Ty Montgomery is getting significant reps with the wide receivers, yeah, that probably means someone like a Keishon Butte, who's right now on the roster bubble, is probably going to be relegated to practice squad duty. The same thing with Demario Douglas. Demario Douglas has arguably been the most impressive wide receiver the Patriots have had in the offseason, other than Devontae Parker. But there's only so many spots that you can allocate for these guys. If Montgomery is in, yeah, I'd say Keishon Butte is out, because you're going to go with the top four of Schuster, Parker, Bourne, and Thornton. That's my projection.
Steve?
Yeah, and my projection, the top four, as Mike said, spot on with me. I had Demario Douglas
Mm-hmm.
as the number 5 guy. And as Mike said, he was very impressive in the spring. But, although he's small in stature, I
That's them
always
all.
have been saying for a long time, the Patriots offense works best when you have that really quick guy out of the slot
Yep.
that can get open, right at the snap and keep the chains moving. And I think he's that type of guy. That's why I think he might be that number 5 guy, but you know, training camp will tell the tale.
It
And
will.
as
It
Mike
really
said,
will.
usage and how they produce in training camp again when the pads come on. Not that the wide receiver is going to get lit up, but they're going to get jammed.
Right.
Hmm.
So
There you
Absolutely.
go. That's what we're all looking for this week. Who can get off the jam at the line of scrimmage and get a little separation, shall we say, or get their body in the right place. Now I had five, as I said. Both of you guys had four.
no 5.
Oh,
You had
five.
five. Okay.
Yep.
Yeah, because
All right.
Demario Douglas was my 5.
Was your fifth. Okay.
Yeah.
Now I liked Butte a little bit more because I thought he was a little more versatile than
Hmm.
Douglas. I even like using him. I could see him getting out on jet sweeps and such. I'm not sure if Douglas is of that ilk. He's not somebody that you can move to the outside and use in the running game. But like you said, this is a game changer. That was a great pull by our producer in letting us all know. Well, at least me know that Montgomery was moving back to wide receiver. Um, Now, this is going to be a really difficult segment here to go over. It's something that weighs on all of our minds on a daily basis. Even those fine minds in the chat room who are here every week with us. Thanks so much. The tight end position. Let's talk a little tight. Oh God, see, there's our producer again. Letting us all know where to go. Guys, I only have 2 tight ends making this roster. I only have 2 guys. I'm of the thinking that you want a jumbo package. We're gonna have enough jumbo guys over there on the sideline that can come in, and that blocking tight end really isn't going to be necessary. What do you both think? I mean, they only give us so many spots, and I just can't see carrying a third tight end on this team. Two, yes, two, Madam Producer.
Yes, I believe that they're only going to carry 2. I think probably 2 more will end up on the practice squad, and they can be activated on game days depending on the opponent. And I mean, obviously it's Hunter Henry and Mike Gesicki, but like guys like Scotty Washington, Ferkser, who they picked up as a veteran.
Yep.
I can see guys like that making the roster, and also some of the younger guys. So we'll see how the rest of it plays out, but I think only 2 will be on the active roster, and I could see 2 on the practice squad.
Michael?
Okay, I'm going to bring us back into the good graces with our producer right now, and I'm going to go 3. On both of my roster projections, I do have them taking 3. And there's a reason for it. I'll only give you my reasons. Anthony Ferkser is the guy that keeps cracking my roster, and I'll tell you exactly why. If you take a look at how he was used at Harvard, he was utilized in an H-back, in a
At where?
hybrid fullback at Harvard.
Hey,
Harvard.
where?
Harvard.
Harvard.
You like
Harvard.
that, huh?
Yeah.
You like that, huh? But where this guy came in and did his job and did it very well was coming in and playing that hybrid H-back, even that hybrid fullback type role. That's a role that is not filled on the Patriots roster this year. And I know that's not Bill O'Brien's style. And don't misconstrue what I'm saying here and saying, oh, well, he's going to go back to that type of full. You're not going to see the second coming of James Devlin here, folks, at all. But what I can see Anthony Ferkser doing is what Claire and I thought for a while that Dalton Keene was going to do when he was drafted here out of Virginia Tech.
I can
Dalton
see
couldn't
that.
see the field. He just could not
Nope.
stay on the field. He wasn't healthy. Bad fit all the way around. It was just a bad pick, unfortunately, but with a great upside.
That was a bad 4th round.
Yeah, it was a bad 4th round, no question about it. Not one of Bill Belichick's
No.
more solid moments as the GM. You want to get on Bill the GM? Yeah, go back to that, folks.
Yep.
You'll get no argument from Murph, me, or Steve on this one. But I think Ferkser can crack that roster because of that reason. And when you're going to run 12 personnel, the way Bill O'Brien loves to run it, all it takes is an injury to possibly derail that. You want somebody right at the ready that's going to be able to do it. I think Washington and Sokol can stick on this team as a practice squad, but I think Ferkser is your guy. So I'm going to go 3 this time around.
All right, man. At least somebody's going 3, and Claire's back there. I'm sorry, producer is back there smiling her pretty little face off, and none of us can see it. My cut here, my hardest cut here was Washington. I really like the tape that I've seen of Washington. I think he's a weapon that could have been utilized in this. I think he's if you're going to carry a third guy, it's going to be somebody that can bring that. I don't want to say game changing because we're talking about a third tight end here, people, but somebody that could be used in more diverse of a way out there in a pattern as opposed to, as Mike said earlier, in an H-back situation. I really like him. I hope he sticks on the practice squad and maybe gets a call up or 2 during the season. We'll see what happens during these first workouts and how well that progresses with him. All right, now we will jump to the most important people on the roster, and that's the guys on the offensive line. Now, I ticked off quite a few people in keeping 10 offensive linemen. Do you guys think that I'm out of line in keeping 10? My thinking was the fact that, this line is extremely old. It kind of long in the tooth, and we're trying to keep offensive linemen who take a bigger beating than anybody on the planet, healthy for a 17 game season. Now, the guys that I have keeping are Anderson, Andrews, both Jake and
Mhm.
David, of course, Trent Brown, Antonio Maith, Connor McDormand, Mike Onwayu, Riley Reef, City So. It's not Sow, people. It's So, and of course Cole Strange.
Mhm.
James Ferentz was a hard cut. Jason Hines, Bill Murray. Sorry, go golfing. Cody Rusney. I've had enough, and Andrew Stuber. So what do you guys think of keeping 10? And how many did you guys both end up keeping? Mike?
I absolutely have the same roster that you have right now. I mean, up and down, especially when it comes to the offensive linemen. I too carried 10, and I too caught some flack about it as well.
Yep.
Look, it may seem excessive, folks, and I understand the argument about that, but don't forget that New England invested 3 solid draft choices,
Right.
3 valuable pieces of draft capital in building this line for the foreseeable future. They're not cutting any one of those guys loose. They're putting these guys on the roster, especially where they got them. Jake Andrews, City So, Antonio Mafi, these guys definitely have to come in and prove what they can do. Now, do we see a Foxborough flu situation coming in? I haven't seen any indication. These guys all look healthy. They look ready to go, but I don't know their medical history, so I can't say for sure what's going to happen. Something to keep an eye on, folks, within the next 48 to 72 hours, business hours, is the releasing of players that are going to start this, training camp on certain, non-football injury lists, things of that nature, because
Yep.
that can change the complexity of what we're going to do here. But I agree with you. They pick these guys at a high enough level where they want to see what they can do. And again, they brought in Rafe and they brought in Anderson with the caliber type contracts where you don't want to
Decent
cut
money.
these guys loose. Yeah, exactly.
Better than
And
decent money.
and and I like Bill Murray as much as anybody, but he probably will get a fit on the practice squad once again. He's got that going for him. That's nice.
Yeah,
But
he's just lost in translation to the starting.
yeah, absolutely. Dogs and cats living together, mass hysteria. It's just the way it is. But Ferentz was my toughest cut out of this roster because of his experience. But the Patriots have to go with a little youth here as well.
There you go. Good comment there in the chat room from Joel Shapiro. Steve, what do you got going on here with the big sexy guys?
Initially, I back in May, I had 9. I think they are going to go 10 just because of the situation that played out in in the spring.
Yep.
It's all going to come down to production, but I think some of the older guys that have been around for a while, like the Ferentzes, Bill Murray, bada beep, bada boop, they're not gonna, they're not gonna stick this time around. They drafted all these young guys, and I think those guys are gonna stick.
What do you guys think happens if Trent Brown comes in the same kind of shape and attitude that he had earlier in the year? Could we see a surprise cut or a trade here?
Well, I don't know anyone that would take him.
Yeah.
I
There you
think
go.
if he doesn't show up, ready to go, I think they're going to put him on PUP, and then,
Wow.
yeah. I mean, if he couldn't get through the warm-ups, I mean, it wasn't actual, plays that he was laboring in. He was laboring on the warm-ups, and we've all been there a gazillion times at training camp, and that is just like a jog. They're
Yep.
jogging back and forth. They're not sprinting or anything like that. And if he shows up in that kind of shape, they're going to put him on PUP. And I think that's when you'll see them start surging.
There you go.
Yeah, and these practice days, folks, where he was struggling, this is not the sweltering 90-degree heat that we're expecting in the next couple of weeks up at Gillette. These were comfortable temperatures. So excellent point, Steve. And if he shows up in that kind of shape, yeah, they're in trouble. because they need a healthy Trent Brown. Dante Scarnecchia has said that several times. They need a healthy and locked in Trent Brown.
I agree that Trent Brown being happy is a paramount thing for this upcoming season. I've said before on this show and of course on Locked On Patriots with Mike that I think this all comes down to Trent playing left tackle for right tackle money. I think he's done with that. I think he's looking to get a bump at least in this season, and I would do anything I can to keep this man happy. Chris in the chat room has handed his paper in late, so I'm going to just give this question a C instead of a B. What do we think of will happen with Trey Nixon? I think Nixon is going to end up on the New York Jets because that's what the Jets do. They wait for the Patriots to cut somebody and then they pick them up to try to pick their brain as much as they can. Guys, do you agree with me or in any way, shape, or form on that?
Yeah, I mean, I have Nixon on the cutting room floor. He popped a little bit during training camp last year, really was the mini camp darling, and everybody started to believe that Ernie Adams did it again. He found a diamond in the rough in the last pick of the draft, and this was going to be the year that the kid finally blossomed. But there's just too much competition on this roster right now, and I believe that if he is cut loose, someone is going to catch on to him this year because there is enough hype out there to warrant a roster selection. Now, whether or not it's going to be the Jets, I think that's a pretty good prediction, Murph. But ultimately, if he's going to catch on as a wide receiver in the NFL, I think it's going to have to be with another team. If nobody picks him up, he's going to be back with the Patriots practice squad.
Steve?
Yeah, I think the only way he makes the roster is if they have some kind of catastrophic injury to one of the top four guys.
And with Ty Montgomery, as our wonderful producer pointed out earlier, moving back to the wide receiver, I can't see it. I really can't. And we all wanted Ernie's last swing to connect and go for a grand slam, but nobody's throwing him a big fat 88-mile-an-hour meatball like they do Tristan Cassis.
He couldn't resist, folks.
I couldn't. I tried.
But it's relevant. It's good, though.
I keep it relevant. I really do.
Dynamite drop in, Ronnie.
I think, without a doubt, the offensive line is going to make or break this season. And as was said in the chat room a little bit earlier, I think it was by Chris that the more bodies, the more better. Trying to figure out who fits where they fit, who is going to fill out the depth chart behind everybody, and that's it. It always begins and ends with the offensive line, people. And for too many years, that wasn't understood by the powers that be in the NFL, by the GMs, by the owners, and how they're paid. And we just make those sexy running backs look good. We just keep the quarterbacks pretty and making all that extra money in commercials. And now everybody's figuring it out. And we got running backs, all over the league right now holding out because $10 million just isn't enough. Get used to it. It's orange is the new black. Moving along. I gotta skip down because I moved back up there. Please excuse me, folks. The other sexy guys on this team, the defensive line. I love this defensive line. I love the way it's made up. I think if Lawrence Guy is has any sense, he's going to come in and do what he needs to do. I've got 6 linemen making this roster: Barmore, Davis, Aquale, Devin Godchow, the aforementioned Lawrence Guy, and DeMarcus Mitchell. So what do you guys think of my picks? Is 6 too many? Is 6 not enough? Steve?
I had 7 because I include Keon White in that group.
Okay. I've got Keon as one of those outside linebacker edge guys that I've got it separate. He's on my list though.
Yeah, I mean wherever you want to slot him.
Right.
Yeah, obviously he's going to make the football team. But I mean 6 is kind of thin, but depending on where they slot this guy, and we're talking about Keon White, but
Right.
also I wouldn't shut the door all the way on guys like Sam Roberts or Jeremiah Farms,
Okay.
Mm.
just because you never know. Like one of these, uh, you know, veterans, like could they cut their ties with Lawrence Guy? If he doesn't want to play for his contract,
Mm-hmm.
um, maybe a Carl Davis gets outplayed by a young guy like Roberts or Farms. You never know, but I think there's going to be some competition there at the bottom end of this group, and we'll see how it goes.
Not a doubt. Michael?
Yeah, I'm one of the guys that's always been very high on Carl Davis. First of all, I love his sack celebrations or his tackle celebrations. So, I want to put
Yeah.
him on the roster just for that reason. But no, all kidding aside, folks, if you want to talk about prototypical two gapping interior linemen,
There you
look
go.
up Carl Davis.
Yep.
This guy plays the position exactly how Bill Belichick loves it to be played.
Right.
And I think that's why he keeps hanging around on this roster. Just when you think that someone else is going to nudge him off, Carl Davis comes up with a very impressive practice or a training camp or a session that tells you, yeah, that's why they keep this guy on this roster. So I have Carl cracking the roster. I too, Murph have 6. I've got Godshaw, Wise, Barmore, Aquale, and I've got Lawrence Guy figuring things out and coming back in here and making it work for this year. But if he continues his holdout into training camp, I will be honest, folks, that's not going to sit well with those that I've talked to within the room. They're counting on Lawrence being there and they want him there. So that's something to watch as well. And I agree. I think, Christian Barmore is set for a breakout season.
Thank you.
He's going
There's
to be the
my
one to watch there.
Now this time Mike gets my follow-up question for everybody. Steve, what do you think of Barmore? Is this going to be his coming out? Is he ready to go? Is he healthy? Is this the year of Christian Barmore?
I certainly hope so, because he showed flashes of that at times, and then last year he got hurt, and he's the prototypical tease right now. Like, you can see how he can be dominant out there, and if he can stay healthy this year, the interior pass rush is going to be outstanding.
It
Now,
is.
the Patriots had actually the fourth best passer. What was it? I got it written down in my notes. Pressure rate.
Pressure
They,
rate. There you
they
go.
had the fourth best pressure rate in the league last year, and the 3 teams in front of them blitzed a lot more.
Mm-hmm.
So, therefore, you look at this, and you already have a good pass rush. They picked up a couple of guys that, could move the needle even more. But then if you add in Barmore becoming the player that we all hope he will, then that pass rush is going to be something to behold, I think. So this is a big year for him.
It is. It is. And this is a group that allows Gerard Mayo to be able to do a lot more with his backfield, with his with the rest of the guys. How for lack of a better term, right now, this group is allows the team to be so much more versatile just because they can get to the quarterback without those blitzes, without those packages. Keep everybody guessing, and that brings us to the next level. The edge, the outside linebacker grouping. I've got 5 of them. It gets a little complicated here. Are they linebackers? Are they safeties? Are they edge guys? And I love it, man. I've got Anthony Jennings, Matthew Judon, Josh Uche, Keon White, who Steve has further up, and Dietrich Wise, and Ronnie Perkins. Bye bye. I'm just tired. I'm
Mm.
just I'm just done. I really am, man. I had huge hopes for Ronnie Perkins when he was drafted here, and I just can't see him making the cut this time around. Again, maybe a practice squad guy. I don't know, guys. What do you have on in this grouping, Michael?
Yeah, I've got these guys split a little bit too. In terms of specialists on the edge, I've got four in this group. I've got Judon, Uche, Keon White, and Anthony Jennings, with Ronnie
Yep.
Perkins on the outside looking in. Look, Judon is still going to be your aggressive. He's going to be your alpha in the room. Josh Uche proving with 11 and a half sacks last year, he's a force in that area. The reason why I like Keon White here is because of the versatility. I think he's going to be a little bit more active in the pass rush than people are giving credit for. It's not just going to be a run specialist. You're even going to see him drop back into coverage at times. You're going to see those five tech tools that I think is going to be the future of Keon White. But for this year, maybe a little bit more specialized. But this pass rush has a chance to be extremely, extremely potent. And I love what Steve said in the previous segment. Barmore's ability to command the double team is going to free up a lot of these guys. Patriots might get sack happy this year, and I think that's a good thing for this defense. They need aggression, and they're going to set the tone without question.
All right, Steve.
Yeah, I have the same three you do: Judon, Uche, and Jennings. And as I wrote on Pats fans, um, Keon White can play the edge, or with his hand down in the dirt. And I wrote, it's make or break time for Ronnie Perkins. I mean,
Yeah.
I was so excited to see what he could do. And you never know. I mean, could the light come on for him this year like it did for Uche? It's possible, but right now he's on the outside.
Now Uche's looking at a possible contract extension. He's going to be up soon. What do you think of the what was it, a 4-year $68 million deal that Alex Highsmith signed yesterday? Is this going to push Uche's number up?
Well, if he has another year like last year, it's definitely going to push it up. But the thing that's holding him back, he's not considered a 3-down player.
Right.
He hasn't been good against the run. Now, this year, I mean, the light came on for him last year as getting after the quarterback. I mean, if he can put, again, 8 to 12 sacks up and show that he can be trusted to be on the field for 3 downs,
Mm-hmm.
he's going to
It
command
could
a
get
lot of
real
money.
expensive, man. It could
Yeah.
get real expensive.
It's going to get really expensive for him. However, we'll see what happens. If he's strictly a sub package guy, then his numbers are going to come down. He'll still get paid because everyone loves a guy that can get after the quarterback.
That's it. And
he has to show he can play 3 downs this year.
Michael, you agree?
Absolutely, 100% agree. I think that with Uche's situation, his representation is going to want to use that as a benchmark to be the floor as opposed to the ceiling in terms of what they can get him. But it's going to be determined by his usage and how he's going to be able to do and replicate what he did last year.
Yeah, it just smacked me in the face yesterday when I saw what Highsmith signed for. That this is going to end up having a ripple effect around here. But yeah, I can't see I'm just tired of it, people. I'm just tired of it. It's been what, 3 years now, and I'm just waiting for this kid to live up to any kind of potential that we all saw when he came out. So I don't know. Moving along, at linebackers, I've got another 5 coming. I'm not sure where you guys are slotting these guys in, because it's becoming positionless football. It's becoming so diversified with these groupings, and what we are actually seeing from linebackers, the size that they are now, the speed that they have now as compared to, even 5 years ago. I've got Juwan Bentley, Chris Board, of course, Marty Mapo. God, I can't wait to see this guy padded up and hitting other people. Please take it easy on some of the guys that you're going to be depending on in a month or two, Mr. Mapo. Jelani Tavai, and here's a surprise, Mac Wilson, making the squad. How many linebackers in this grouping do you guys have? Is 5 enough? Is it leaving this grouping thin? Who could you see cracking it, besides the guys that I just mentioned?
No, I think you hit the nail right on the head, Murph. I've got Bentley, Tavai, Mapo, Wilson, and I do have Chris Board, but I have him slotted in as a core special teamer, even though I think he
Right.
will give you situational linebacker help. He's a better player at that position
But
than most
that's
give
the
him
reason
credit
he
for.
makes. But the
But
special teams is the reason that we're putting him here.
absolutely. If it was based purely on his linebacker ability,
Right.
he'd probably be on the outside looking in. But Mapo is the guy I can't wait to watch.
Oh
And
my
Bentley
God.
being the elder statesman, the glue that's holding that defense together, this is a very sneaky, underrated strength of the New England Patriots. Steve and I discussed this last week on Locked On Patriots. I love this group of off the ball linebackers.
Go ahead, Steve.
Yeah, I have the same 5. And I think Chris Board is more of a special teams, ace.
Right.
Bill called him the best special teams player in the NFL
Yep.
last year. So he's making the roster, and he can fill in.
Right. That's the thing. When the 2 to 6 people start bitching and moaning about how much money you're giving a special teamer, it's not just a special teamer. This is a guy that you could depend on for 8 or 10 downs in a game, maybe, if you needed to.
Yeah, and even if it's to give somebody a rest.
Yep.
Give him catch his breath on the sideline. But I like this interior group because I think Mapu, he really flips the needle for me. And I'll be honest, when I first heard his name called, I was like, why do they need another in the box safety? And then I watched the tape of him, especially at the Senior Bowl.
Right.
Yeah.
And watching how he was defeating blocks all over the place.
Unreal.
And he hits a ton for a guy his size.
Great.
So I think this is a very, very good interior group. I can't wait to see how they utilize these guys. And don't forget, Mapu, they put him in on obvious passing downs. He could be one of those, A-gap pass rushers too.
Yeah.
On a blitz.
Mm-hmm.
There you go. And I caught myself and I went and I did this. I'm sitting here watching tape of Mapo and having a discussion with my lovely wife at the same time, and I wasn't watching the screen, and I was hearing this kid's hits, and I went back and I replayed the same tape and I closed my eyes just to listen to this guy hit. Okay, and it is thunderous. It is scary. It is you could take this sound and put it into horror movies. This is going to be fantastic, folks. I'm telling you, this is going to be fantastic. And like Mike said, this is an underrated group that the Patriots have put together here. And like I said, so versatile, like we've all said, so versatile. These guys can fill so many roles and do so many different things. This league is not going to know what hit them. It's really not going to know what hit them because they're going to be looking up from the ground and saying, "What the hell just happened? What the hell just happened?" This is a fantastic group, and I can't wait to do it. But with the safeties carrying all the nickels and dimes around here, the versatility from this spot and the edge is really going to allow this defense to keep everybody on their toes. They're just not going to be able to keep up with the Joneses here. Speaking up of keeping up with the Joneses, let's get to the cornerbacks. Now the real fun begins. I've got Miles Bryant, of course, Christian Gonzalez, Jack Jones. God willing, this all gets worked out. Jonathan and Marcus Jones, all on the squad. Unfortunately, Isaiah Bolden, I left off. It was really, really difficult to leave a Bolden off of this roster when I had the chance to do it. Mosley, Ronnie Randall, Amir Speed, and Sean Wade just not making the cut. Hopefully, a couple of these guys will make it to the practice squad. What do you guys think of the cornerback room? How do you think that this is going to work out with the youth that is here? Because it really is, a young group. Steve?
Yeah, I have the same 5 again.
Shocking.
And I think guys like Speed and what's his name, Bolden, they'll be on the practice squad because I think, and again, it all depends on how things play out for them. But yeah, I think those guys stick around because youth is always well served. And I know Miles Bryant isn't a favorite of a lot of fans, myself included, but Bill trusts him.
Yep.
And when he plays in zone, he's a much better player than in man.
Right.
So, whenever the Patriots go to zone, you'll probably see Miles Bryant on the field.
It'll be a tell. Miles Bryant's on the field. It's zone coverage. That's the only drawback here. Michael, what do you think?
Yeah, I mean, obviously, I'm with you guys on this. 5, it was my total as well. If the Jack Jones situation becomes an issue, keep an eye on Isaiah Bolden. I love the way this kid shapes up. I love his special team contribution ability. He's a better cornerback than a lot of people give him the credit for. I think he may get the nod over any of the other guys that are on the cutting room floors. So he's the one to keep an eye on if the Jack Jones situation keeps him off the field at any point.
Yep, I agree. And our wonderful producer has reminded me that this hour is just flying by. And we need to get rolling because the three of us just can't shut up. We just can't shut up. When I say the three of us, I mean me. Let's get to some real fun here, and that's the safety position. I've got Duggar Mills, Jabril Peppers, and Adrian Phillips making it. Josh Bledsoe and Brad Hawkins on the outside looking in. I'm betting. I'll be willing to bet a double cheeseburger that you guys both have it the same way.
Yeah, 100%. Right on the money.
Nope. I got Bledsoe making the team.
All right. There we go. A little controversy here. Who'd you leave off? Or do you just have the extra guy there, Steve?
Yeah, I just have Duggar, Phillips, Peppers, Mills, obviously. And I think Bledsoe's going to make the team. I do.
All right, that's good. I wouldn't mind it, and I guess that's where Steve filled in with his only 2 tight ends, and that's just fine. But no, this is another fantastic group. This Patriots defensive backfield is dare I say, one for the ages. And then of course, we got special teams coming up here. Behringer, Cardona, of course, Chad Ryland. I should have been a long snapper. Why wasn't I a long snapper, people? Ryland, Brendan Schooler, and of course, Matthew Slater making the squad as the special teamers, the strict special teams guys. What do you guys think? Steve?
I got Cody Davis making it, but there's a possibility Jordan Heilig could push him.
Okay.
And then they put Davis on the practice squad, as one of those veteran type guys. But yeah,
Michael,
that's the only difference.
Yeah, the veteran presence of Cody Davis plus their penchant to re-sign him in the offseason to me gave him the nod. But I could see Steve's suggestion. I think they're higher on Heilig than a lot of people believe. He's one to watch in the next few days.
All right, there you go. And I just want to say thank you to Nick Folk for everything that you've done over the past few years, man. It's just been amazing to watch what you're doing. But I really think it's time to find the next guy. But Nick, tip of the cap, man. You're just a consummate professional, and if this is it for you, it's been one hell of a career. It's been one hell of a career. Ooh, there's a good one. A quick last question from Chris. Who is the long-term Matthew Slater successor, Steve?
Schooler.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah, I agree. They're grooming him for that.
Do you guys think that the new rules are kind of making besides that, kind of making these kind of special teamers that Bill loves to keep around so much almost redundant? Are they trying to get rid of the kicking game altogether? Unbelievable, Mike.
Yeah, it's hard to ignore the evidence. I mean, it looks that way. I know the Patriots are among the teams that are the most, abhorrent to these rules. I know Baltimore has spoken out about it as well because they play a similar type of style in special teams to New England. Something to keep an eye on. But I think the Patriots are going to utilize these guys as much as they can wherever they can, and they'll continue to do their thing is within the rules. And so, but
Always.
I'm not a fan of that. Not a fan
Always
of what
within
the
that
league is
that
doing.
stretched out ring of rules. We may stretch it, but nobody's trying to break it. All right, guys. I want to thank you both for being here today. Of course, longtime favorite and show host Steve Balistreri and Mike Diabate. Steve, tell everybody what you've got in the hopper and where they can find you on the socials.
Yeah, on patsfans.com as well as Facebook, Steve Balistreri. So, I'll be writing about training camp battles,
all right,
as everyone else.
I know this time of year really hurts Steve now that he's down there in Florida and he can't be out here reminding people to wear your hat, wear a hat. You don't want the top of your head burning. Mike, let everybody know what's going on with you, where they can find your great work, and of course, where they can find you on the socials, even the new socials.
Absolutely. Positional previews continue both on Locked On Patriots and at SI Fan Nation. Going to continue to break down each position prior to training camp. Don't miss today's episode of Locked On Patriots coming out a little bit later with our man Miguel, the Pats captain himself, dropping all kinds of knowledge, folks. This is a masterclass on Foxborough Finance 101. You do not want to miss it. And you can find me on the Bird app at MDABATE NFL. You can also find me if you're thready on the new thread, the new Threads app at MikeDebate_NFL. And you can catch Locked On Patriots wherever you get your podcasts.
I'm already banned from Threads.
I'm on there too.
Oh, I'm not on there. I tried, and they're like, your account is suspended. I'm like, what the hell? I'm just trying to get on here. And you've suspended me already? I've pissed everybody off at Threads already? I don't know. Producer girl, take us out. Thank you all for joining us.
Well, there you have it, folks. Another edition of One Patriots Place brought to you by the E2G Sports Network. Thank you for listening. As we said, please do not forget to rate, review, and subscribe. Huge thanks to Steve Balistreri and Mike Diabate for their time and their insight. He was Thomas Murphy. Tune in next time and go Pats.
That's sexy.